Hi guys, Luke here of SimBoxx in association with Clint Patrick. I'm delighted to be joined by Cruiserweight Jack Massey and his trainer Robert Rimmer. How are we doing, boys?
All good, mate. Good. Self.
Yeah, all good. Thank you. Yeah, it's a pleasure to talk to you today. So let's get straight into it. I believe you're out in Poland, taking part in a bit of a training camp with Michal Cieslak. I'm sure I've got his name right there.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about what you're doing out there and how that opportunity came around.
Yeah, so we got the call about a couple of weeks ago now to come out here and spar Michal. He was preparing for the IBF. I think it was April the 23rd, but it's been pushed back to May now. So we're out here sparring him, helping him prepare for his next fight.
Happy days. I'm sure when you're out there, it's very business-like. There's not too many distractions, and it's literally you're either in the hotel or training, and it's very business-like, and it can keep you focused.
Yeah, definitely. We're preparing for May anyway, so we're looking to be out end of May. So there's no distractions. I mean, Poland have gone into their third lockdown on Monday, so there's not much to do other than train anyway. Luckily, the gyms are still open and running, and it's a bit different to back home. The gyms are open and stuff, so it's been all right. It's been good.
As we know, Robert, you've got your stable over as well in the Phoenix camp. How does that work with you being away with Jack? And do you have somebody else in keeping the guys busy and ticking over?
Yeah, well, do you know what? Like I said, I've got a few lads who now have all got fight dates as well and ready to go. But yeah, I'm lucky really. I've got Bobby Jarvis who's helped me out for a long time, and I've also got Sonny Upton who helps me out. So there's always them to look after the rest of the lads, which is good. But like I said, with Jack, I know Jack's what's around the corner for Jack. We've got a big title fight hopefully coming up in the end of May. So last time he went out to Latvia on his own, sparring breeders. But this time, the timing was good, really. It was correct because he was already preparing for what we thought a fight which might have materialised last month. It didn't quite end up that way. So I said to him, look, he was there or thereabouts. His fitness was good, weight was good. I said, have a week off, a back off week, and the phone went. So to come out here and get some world level sparring, I thought, I'll come along with him, just to see how he's faring, how he's doing, how other people operate and stuff like that. So it's an experience for me. But like I said, they're a world class setup. The facilities have been fantastic. The people are nice.
Looked after us, haven't
they? It's been good, mate. It's been good. So I've been quite fortunate, really.
Yeah, it's great to hear. In times like the pandemic, when everything's very restricted and fight dates are few and far between, to go out there and get a world class camp and sparring somebody that's on the verge of a world title fight is as good as it's going to get, really, and it's a fantastic opportunity.
Yeah, definitely. It's good to have a change as well. It's doing the same old, obviously stuck in lockdown, so it's good to get to another country and get out here.
Yeah, but like I said, it's like time has been perfect, especially when we've been told, look, he's going to be fighting for a major title around about the end of May. So listen, we're officially in camp now. So we're coming off probably not an intense camp, but we was kind of getting ready just if we was giving ourselves that little bit of time, just so if there was going to be a short notice call, we would have been ready in time. So he's good where he's at now. So to start this camp now, getting world level sparring, he's going to reap the benefits from it. And again, it's a great experience and it's a great confidence booster for him, especially what's around the corner.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you keep alluding to the fact that there's a fight potentially at the end of May. I know you can't say too much, but how have you found it since your last fight? And like you said, it was a fight date that could have been penciled in previously that's fell through, trying to keep focused and keep mentally prepared for that call finally coming.
Yeah, it's frustrating, but you've got to look on the bright side, It was nice to get out last year. Some people, didn't get out at all. So it was good to get a fight in, get the ball rolling. And, we know it's coming now. We know these big title fights are coming now, these next fights. So it's there. So just got to stay prepared and stay on it.
When can we expect any kind of announcement? I'm guessing, is it with Frank Warren?
Yeah, with Frank Warren, yeah. I'm guessing in the next probably couple of weeks. Next couple of weeks, I reckon so. So, yeah, keep your eyes open.
So let's go back to your last fight. You mentioned it there. It was on the undercard of Daniel Dubois against Joyce. It was a fight against Ali Bayat, a guy that came in there with 17 wins, 17 knockouts, a big puncher. It was a little bit unknown in this country, but you went in and got the job done and got the points victory over 8 rounds. How was the experience of fighting behind closed doors?
Yeah, it's a weird one. Obviously, never done that before. I said before the fight, it'll be similar to the amateurs and stuff like that, but it was totally different. It was hard to get up for it. Adrenaline wasn't as intense as it usually is when there's big crowds there, but it was a great experience on a great TV show, on the Daniel Dubois and Joyce show. So it was a good experience and good to shake that ring rust off.
Absolutely. So for yourself, Robert, how did you find it being in the corner of a behind the closed doors fight, and the fact that you're trying to guide Jack through the fight, but you know that anything you do say or do shout can be picked up by the other corner, given that there's no fans there to drown out the noise?
You know what? I've watched a few of the shows behind closed doors, both on Matchroom for Sky and obviously the BT ones, and it's like you can hear a penny drop. And I spoke to a couple of people that have been on there, and I know a couple of them said they could hear the commentators throughout the fight. So that kind of was like a telltale for either corner. But another thing as well, I think sport in general, you have to see the football and other competitive sports. Without fans, it has a real impact. I mean, you've seen so many upsets throughout that fight camp and stuff like that for different fighters. But look, we was fortunate enough to get the opportunity on a big stage and to go and perform, and Jack gets paid as well. So the fight was really important. But again, going back to your question there, it was like, so many fighters say it's like fighting in a living room. It was eerie. You could hear absolutely everything, but it was just like, Jack's performance in that fight was, he did what he had to do. But in terms of, you could have watched it from the outside and not really knowing what's going on and stuff like that. You feel, he could change gear here. Now, I truly believe if he was a crowd, moments in that fight, I believe he would have got the stoppage. He would have changed gear. Just that natural reaction, that instinct, that adrenaline, and that in itself, that's what boxing's all about. Because you could be in a 12-round war, losing 10 rounds of the fight, and then you have that one moment and the crowd get behind you and it's over. So, yeah, I'm just glad that the crowds are on the way back, mate.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the biggest example of that would have been the Josh Warrington fight recently. He gave up his own record. He went in there against a guy that was 14, 15 to 1 with the bookies, and his performance from Josh Warrington just fell flat. And it goes back to what you were saying there about no fans there to give him that added boost. Until you get in there, you don't really know what to expect.
And he has got some crowd, hasn't he? All them Leeds fans.
It must be daunting for the opposite corner, to have thousands of people behind you. And again, Josh, the way he fights, he thrives off energy. You can see in his performances, that's his style. That's how he fights. So, with that crowd not there, it's like you're taking a little chink away from his arm. It's like, and it's shown in the night. But listen, I think he'll be back anyway, Josh. You know what I mean? He'll come back strong. He'll right that wrong, no doubt.
So we hope so. So with the main event of that card was Dubois Joyce. It was a highly anticipated clash. And now normally with these big shows, like you say, if it's at the Manchester Arena or the O2 Arena, the undercard tends to stick around and you're able to watch the main event. How did that work out with that scenario, with it being behind closed doors? Was you still able to stick around and watch the fight, or was it fight and go home kind of thing?
Oh, it was a funny one, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a funny one. We wasn't really allowed back in. It was a big screen, wasn't there, where we went after.
Oh, we tried. We tried
sneaking in there.
But yeah, there was no chance of it. We all got back to the hotel and watched it. So
yeah, it was a good fight to watch as well. But let's go back previous to that. That was your first fight back since the first defeat of your career, the tight points decision to Richard Reckport for the British title, December 2019. Let's go through that fight. It's the first time I've had the opportunity to speak to you since then. How was it? Your thoughts on the fight in general, and then being able to bounce back from a first career loss, but also a tight decision as well, one that could have easily gone in your favour.
Yeah, it was a funny one coming out of the fight. It didn't seem like a loss. Obviously felt it after not having a belt in my hands, but looking at it, a day after the fight, it didn't feel like a loss. I've obviously lost in the amateurs and stuff. It didn't feel like that. It felt like, I think it was the most trending thing on Twitter on the night, and everyone was on there saying, you should have won, blah blah blah. But I'm just grateful to get the 12 rounds and get the experience, and a good guy, but it was a close fight. A lot of spoiling in the fight, holding on. Should have had points taken off him, and the knockdown. It was never a knockdown, but it is what it is. You can't dwell on it. You got to move on to the next and take the positives from it.
Absolutely. So going from that and then heading into a pandemic, I suppose the first thing in your mind would have been, you wanted to get out as soon as possible and kind of, get back in the thing, shake off the cobwebs and build back. But you were able to do that with the pandemic situation.
Yeah,
How did you head into the pandemic and keep fit, keep motivated and keep focused?
Yeah, it was frustrating, but it was the same for everyone. There's people a lot worse off. Some people lost family members. Some people, fallen, like mentally ill and stuff. So it was just one of those things. I just had to stay on the ball. We never knew when the lockdown run was going to come out of it, so we just had to stay on it and train. And you never stop learning in boxing, so you got to keep training and learning and put yourself in the best position.
Absolutely. For yourself, Rob, how did you find it in terms of keeping the stable busy and focused? And I'm sure with no fight date to focus on, the motivation can waver a little bit. The diet might go out the window. They might not train as hard. Did you find it difficult to keep the team busy and motivated with no potential fight dates down the line?
Do you know what? That's a big part of my job. Any boxing trainer, man management and being able to motivate your fighters and being able to know what makes them tick and what doesn't. But again, everybody was in the same predicament. But I train myself. I like to keep fit and do whatever. So in that first lockdown, I was training every single day, twice a day. And I had, after a little bit of a while, like Jack would come and train me and do a little bit. Obviously, we was at distance and stuff like that. But it was just little things. We had a group chat and we was like, become very competitive. First of all, it started off, I think it was 3 mile runs, who could do them the fastest, and it was 5, then people was doing 10 miles. So it was like just little daft. Look, because listen, everybody wants to be a winner, especially our leads. And we're lucky enough to have a good set and a good group of lads and a busy gym and a busy stable where everybody gets on. So they all bounce off each other. They all push each other. So I think that's played kind of a key part throughout the months where, these little things have made the difference. And again, once we got back into the gym, everybody was in the same predicament in terms of weight and fitness. So they all just dug in together, dug deep, and like I said, now, mate, they're all in great shape. They're all firing. They're all fit and ready to go. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think, I jumped forward a little bit there. I wanted to mention while we talk about Richard Reckport, I think it's quite interesting to think that he's not boxed at all since that fight with yourself. And, I know the pandemic and the restrictions and everything has limited everybody, but I think most of the big names has been out at least once now, I think. And, is there ever any kind of rumours of a rematch? Was there anything in the air with that? And do you guys know of it from the inside, any reason why Reckport might not have fought since?
You know what? I know that he was discussed for the rematch early on, and obviously we can only go off of what was being told. But I heard that obviously they don't want it. Obviously, he was in a tough fight, whether he was going to be choosing to move on or whatever. But I think everyone's under the same thing of, he's vacated the British title, and nobody knows why. Because obviously Tommy McCarthy as the European, he already beat and stopped Tommy McCarthy, so. He's vacated that British title for a reason. 1, because he doesn't want to defend it. 2, he's got something else in the pipeline. But yeah, he's waiting. But I'm getting, it's the only rumour. I don't know if it's true, but we also heard a rumour that he failed some drug test. Now, I don't know. That again, people talk. So I'm not saying that's fact or whatever. It was just a rumour. But yeah, it's a little bit of a strange one when he's an unbeaten fighter. He's defended his British title. A lot of fighters would want to go on to maybe win it outright because he was in a tough fight with Jack. And, he'd probably got a voluntary after that. And, he's a big, strong lad, awkward, caused a lot of people a lot of problems. So yeah, it's a strange one. I'd like to know what he's doing because he seems to be training.
Yeah, I definitely would agree. You look at the victory over Tommy McCarthy, a close victory over Jack Massey. I mean, the McCarthy victory has aged very well, given that Tommy's gone on to win the European title and he had the victory over Sam Hyde as well. So yeah, it is quite a bizarre situation. At the Cruiserweight division as a whole, and it's sometimes a division that can be overlooked, given that it's almost looked at like the heavyweight division's little brother. But at the minute, especially in Great Britain, you've got Jack, you've got Sam Hyde, you've got Lawrence Okolie leading the way, Chris Billham-Smith. It's a very exciting division. I'm sure you're eager to press forward. Like you say, you've got the fight coming up in May, but it's an exciting division to be a part of.
Absolutely, some great fights there to be made. Some crowd pleasing fights, and there's some good ones. So it's exciting.
Did you manage to catch the recent doubleheader from Matchroom with Lawrence Okoli obviously winning the world title, a big moment for British cruiserweight boxing, and also Chris Billam-Smith on the undercard? Did you manage to watch both those fights?
Yeah, I watched both. Yeah. Lawrence Okoli, he boxed really, really well. Did what he had to do. Gulatsky, wasn't really there on the night, but he did well, and he's got the world title, so fair play to him. Billam-Smith didn't box well as he usually does. Looks a bit unsteady on his feet, chin out a little bit, but yeah.
So both got the win. Like a scouting mission, especially yourself, Robert, is eyeing these guys as future opponents.
Yeah, 100%. And listen, there's no doubt that they'll be doing exactly the same. Do you know what I mean? And the cruiserweight division is bouncing, but you've got the guys at the top, and he's in the mix with the guys at the top. So, Billam-Smith, Jack beat him in the ABA finals. I know that means probably counts for nothing now because they're both at different stages in their career. But again, yeah, I've watched the last couple of his fights. I think he is a good fighter, solid fighter. People make mistakes. You expect him to rectify him, but I watched him twice. Once against Hughes, the Welsh kid. Who's come up from light heavyweight. He caused him problems straight away, and he got that beautiful time right and then stopped him. And then obviously last time out with this last opponent, I thought he looked shaky. I mean, I'm watching that. I'm thinking, if Jackson there with you on that night, you're getting stopped. So, there's no doubt about it. He's stopping him. So you'd expect him to go away and rectify a few things and come back. But that's a fight I'd love for Jack. He's got history. They're both at that kind of same level. Billam-Smith, he went to a points decision that he lost against reckport. So, it's a great fight on the cards. It's just politics at the moment in terms of the cruiserweight division and what's available and what's not. Matchroom, Frampton, everybody's got their own path. And I'm sure sooner or later, these guys will all meet at some point. And it's not a case of, like I said, he's not one for calling people out. Sure, Chris Billam-Smith's not, neither is Tommy McCarthy. Any of these lads, they're all good guys. They're not mouthy people. So you let the hands do the talking. So it's going to happen one way or another.
Yeah, exactly. I was just touching on Lawrence Okoli, which was in a couple of years back, I think was a potential opponent for Jack, and he picked up the world title, and he's now looking at fighting Marius Bradis in a unification fight. Jack's been in there with Bradis sparring. How would you guys see that fight going?
Well, me personally, listen, everybody was on his case. I mean, what he's achieved, coming from an amateur background, from working in McDonald's, to fighting for Great Britain, going to the Olympics, and when he turned over, yeah, listen, I think everybody was, he was in the same opinion. He stunk the place out. He was old and he was all good, but you know what? His last two fights, since he's been with Shane McGuigan, he's done an absolute unbelievable job. And people can say, "Oh, Golowatsky didn't, he wasn't at the races, it wasn't him." But listen, Lawrence boxed an absolute perfect fight. Not one point did he get involved. He used every attribute, all his advantages. He was punch perfect. And you've got to give credit to the guy. He's unbeaten. He's full of confidence. And you know what? I'll be honest. I think if he boxes that way, even with these top level guys, because he's got world level power as well, I think he causes serious problems. And I hope he goes on to maybe unify. Because it's great for British boxing.
Absolutely. You in agreement there with Robert? Yourself, Jack? How do you see that potential fight going, given that you've got first-hand experience in there with Bradis yourself?
Yeah, I think, like you said, he causes a lot of these guys problems, but I think Bradis will come on top in that fight. Definitely, if he's on the ball, which he will be, I just think he's not going to mess about. He's going to go forward and put it right on him. He's going to be on his chest, and he can hit like a mule. And if he catches Lawrence, and he's been shook before, and he's been shook in the amateurs, and I think if he catches him, it's night.
The thing is, though, you can only go off your last performance sometimes, and that was at world level a world class performance against a southpaw. And what he's doing is, again, he's using his attributes. Not just his jab, not just his leverage, but his footwork. The way he judged the distance. It was perfect. Everything was economical. He didn't waste anything. And I just think these short fighters, anybody at world level has got world power. So is he. But if he can box that way, it's going to be a big ask, but if you can box that way, these fighters have got to close the distance. These have got to try and get inside. And if he uses his feet and uses his leverages like he did last time, then look, you walk onto one of them, it's, as he's shown, it's game over. And his timing was perfect. So, again, it makes all them nights where cause stinkers. If he performs like that, I think everybody's in for a great fight.
Yeah, absolutely. It's exciting times. Something I wanted to ask, and it's a bit left field, but given that Jack's in the cruiserweight division, what's your thoughts on the WBC and the bridgerweight division, the kind of division in between cruiserweight and heavyweight? Is that anything that's ever come under consideration should you want to move up in weight?
Possibly in time. Can't really say now, but sticking to the cruiserweights now. I've filled out and built well into the cruiserweight division, and made the weight comfortably. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's a funny one, because he's 6'4". He's a big lad, and he's 27. He's filling out, he's maturing. I think a lot of these cruiserweights and heavyweights, they don't kind of mature until like the late 20s, as you see a lot of them. But like I said, he's got the height, he's got the structure. He's a big, strong lad, so he's got the foundations to build on, and be big at the weight. I mean, you look at Lawrence Okola and the likes of reckport. They're big cruiserweights, and they're probably lads with that frame that could probably go into the bridgerweight and go into the heavyweights. But yeah, I just think cruiserweight for him at the moment, the next couple of years, definitely, is perfect.
Absolutely. So let's look forward. You're 8 years into your pro career now, 18 fights. You're looking at getting out at the end of May. What can we expect from Jack Massey and the team moving forward throughout 2021?
Definitely have a title under our wing, 100%. Major title.
Yeah.
Hopefully the British title.
Yeah, with a bit of luck, mate. Like I said, the crowd's coming back now. There's going to be a lot more opportunity. So if we can get a major title under our belt come the end of May, I think once you get a little bit of something, you've got cards at the table then, and people can't avoid or whatever, or people need opportunity. So things then start to snowball, and I hope then he kind of gets a little bit more active, because it's been kind of stop-start for the last few years. Not for his own fault, maybe injuries or fights falling through. So all that's behind us now. So we're trying to get get active, start moving, and start to progress. And in boxing, 12 months can change like that. So positive.
Absolutely. So just a quick word, this past weekend, of course, we had Carl Frampton. He's been a flag bearer for British boxing for the past few years. He unfortunately was knocked out by Jamal Herring as he tried to become a 3-weight world champion. Just a quick word on Carl Frampton and what he's meant for British boxing over the past few years.
He's done great for boxing, for UK boxing. He's a great boxer, but Herring, boxed really, really well that night. He boxed his head off, and it was a good performance by him. Obviously he's come on top and got the title, so credit to him. But Frampton, he's done mass amounts for the UK boxing scene.
Yeah, absolutely. For yourself, Robert, how much do you resonate with Jamie Moore in throwing that towel in, knowing it's such a big fight, knowing what it means to Carl Frampton to become a 3-weight world champion, the first from the island of Ireland? But he's seen his man taking a lot of punishment, and he's threw the towel. And can you resonate with him there and understand the decision he's made?
100%. You know what? I know Jamie. Jamie's a good friend of mine, and it just shows Jamie's class. And at the end of the day, fighting at that level and whatever else is at stake. 3-time world champion, but it just it says a lot about Jamie. He has a close relationship with Carl, and that decision. Carl was hurt. He never really he couldn't get going. Jamal Herring was just a level above on the night, and I think it was a perfect decision, the right decision from Jamie, because, like I say, there's more to boxing. He's got a family at home. He's got a lot more outside of boxing, and that decision boils down to Jamie. He could have allowed him to go on, and no one knows what would have happened, because he looked really hurt in there. But again, I think perfect decision.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, guys, I appreciate your time tonight. Thanks for joining us. I wish you the best with the rest of the camp, and we look forward to the announcement of the fight in May. I wish you the best for that, and I'm sure we'll catch up again very soon.
Cheers, mate. Thanks very much.
Appreciate it, pal.
Take care, pal.